And Eliyahu said unto her, Fear not, go and do as thou hast said, but make me thereof a little cake first, and bring it unto me, and after make for thee and for thy son. For thus saith God as a noun and verb, God of Yisrael. The barrel of meal shall not waste, neither shall the curse of oil fail, until the day when God as a noun and verb sendeth rain upon the earth. And she went and did according to the saying of Eliyahu, and she and he and her house did eat many days, and the barrel of meal wasted not, neither did the cruse of oil fail, according to the word of God as a noun and verb, which he spoke by Eliyahu. And Muhammad had similar miracles to that. And it came to pass, after these things, that the son of the woman, the mistress of the house, fell sick, and his sickness was so sore that there was no breath left in him. And he said unto Eliyahu, What have I to do with thee, O thou man of God? Art thou come unto me to call my sin to remembrance, and to slay my son? And he said to her, Give me thy son. And he took him out of her bosom, and carried him up into a loft where he abode, and laid him upon his own bed. And he cried unto God as a noun and verb, and said, God as a noun and verb, my God, thou hast thou also brought evil upon this widow? No. Evil, I'm sure, is probably not a word that translates as evil, but for some reason in the Christian mind, they want us to see everything negative as evil. Upon the widow, with whom I sojourned, by slaying her son. And he stretched himself upon the child 3 times, and cried unto God as a noun and verb, and said, O God as a noun and verb, my God, I pray thee, let this child's soul come into him again. And God as a noun and verb heard the voice of Eliyahu, and the soul of the child came into him again, and he revived. And Eliyahu took the child, and brought him down out of the chamber into the house, and delivered him unto his mother. And Eliyahu said, See, thy son liveth. And the woman said to Eliyahu, Now by this I know that thou art a man of God, and that the word of God is noun and verb in thy mouth is truth. And it has come to pass after many days that the word of God is a noun and verb came to Eliyahu in the 3rd year, saying, Go, show yourself unto Ahab, and I will send rain upon the earth. And Eliyahu went to show himself unto Ahab. And there was a sore famine in Samaria, and Ahab called Obadiah, who was the governor of his house. Now Obadiah feared God as noun and verb greatly, for it was so when Azbal cut off the prophets of the Lord, of God as noun and verb, that Obadiah took 100 prophets and hid them by 50 in a cave. What's the word for prophets here? Because that's... and fed them with bread and water. And Ahab said to Obadiah, Go into the land unto all the fountains of water, and unto all brooks, peradventure we may find grass, to save the horses and mules alive, that we lose not all the beasts. So they divided the land between them to pass throughout it. Ahab went one way by himself, and Obadiah went another way by himself. And as Obadiah was in the way, behold, Eliyahu met him, and he knew him, and fell on his face, and said, Art thou that, my lord Eliyahu? And he answered him, I am. Go tell thy lord, behold, Eliyahu is here. And he said, What? Have I sinned that thou wouldest deliver thy servant into the hand of Ahab to slay me? And as God is noun and verb, thy God liveth, there is no nation or kingdom, whither my Lord hath not sent to seek thee. And when they said, He is not there, he took an oath of the kingdom and nation, and they found thee not. And now thou sayest, Go tell thy Lord, behold, Eliyahu is here, and it shall come to pass, as soon as I am gone from thee, that the Spirit of God, as a noun and verb, shall carry thee whither I know not. And so when I come and tell Ahab that he cannot find thee, he shall slay me. But I, thy servant, fear God as noun and verb. From my youth was it not told, my Lord, what I did when Azbal slew the prophets of God as noun and verb? Azbal is a slur, but unchaste of the Lord, basically. Household Lord. But the term Baal was being used for supposed children of God, so that was kind of separated. But so the prophets of God is a noun and verb. How Tetragrammaton does not translate as Lord, and how I hid 100 men of God as a noun and verb's prophets by 50 in a cave, and fed them with bread and water. And now thou sayest, Go and tell thy Lord, behold, Eliyahu is here, and he shall slay me. And as Eliyahu said, as God is a noun and verb of hosts, Yahweh B'zbaut lived, before whom I stand, I will surely show myself unto him today. So Obadiah went to meet Ahab and told him, and Ahab went to meet Eliyahu. And it came to pass when Ahab saw Eliyahu, that Ahab said unto him, Art thou he that troubleth Yisrael? And he answered, I have not troubled Yisrael, but thou and thy father's house, and that ye have forsaken the commandments of God as a noun and verb, and that thou hast followed Baalim. Now therefore send and gather to me all Yisrael, unto Mount Carmel, and the prophets of Baal 450, and the prophets of the groves 400, which eat at Azbal's table. The groves is in Asherah. I'm not sure what word they're using though. But so Ahab sent unto all the children of Yisrael, and gathered the prophets together unto Mount Carmel. And Eliyahu came unto all the people and said, How long halt ye between two opinions? If God is noun and verb, be God, follow him. But if Baal, follow him. And the people answered him not a word. Then said Eliyahu unto the people, I, even I, only remain a prophet of God as a noun and verb. But Baal's prophets are 450 men. Let them therefore give us 2 bullocks, and let them choose 1 bullock for themselves, and cut it in pieces, and lay it on wood, and put no fire under. And I will dress the other bullock, and lay it on wood, and put no fire under. And call ye on the name of your supposed gods, and I will call the name of God as noun and verb. And the God that answereth by fire, let him be God. And all the people answered and said, It is well spoken. And Eliyahu said unto the prophets of Baal, Choose ye on 1 bullock for yourselves, and dress it first, for ye are many, and call on the name of your supposed gods, but put no fire under. And they took the bullock which was given them, and they dressed it, and called on the name of Baal from morning even until noon, saying, O Baal, hear us. Is that Shema Baal, or how's that said? But there was no voice, nor was there any that answered. And they leaped up to the altar. They leaped upon the altar which was made. And it came to pass at noon that Eliyahu mocked them and said, Cry aloud, for he is a god. Either he is talking, or he is pursuing, or he is in a journey, or peradventure he sleepeth, and must be awakened. And they cried aloud, and cut themselves after the manner with knives and lancets, till blood gushed out upon them. You see this with a lot of individuals that are Satanists or whatever they want to call themselves, that they're yelling and cutting and all sorts of extreme stuff. And even nowadays they're like, oh, well, we don't worship these entities. And it came to pass, when midday was past, and they prophesied until the time of the offering of the evening sacrifice, that there was neither voice, nor any to answer, nor any that regarded. And Eliyahu said unto all the people, Come near unto me. And all the people came near unto him. And he repaired the altar of God's noun and verb that was broken down. And Eliyahu took 12 stones, according to the number of the tribes of the sons of Jacob, unto whom the word of God's noun and verb said came, saying, Yishral shall be thy name. And with the stones he built an altar in the name of God's noun and verb, and he made a trench about the altar as great as would contain 2 measures of seed. And he put the wood in order, and cut the bullock in pieces, and laid him on the wood, and said, Fill 4 barrels with water, and pour it on the burnt sacrifice and on the wood. And he said, Do it the second time. And they did it the second time. And he said, Do it the third time. And they did it the third time. And water ran about the altar. And he filled the trench also with water. And it came to pass, at the time of the offering of the evening sacrifice, that Eliyahu the prophet came near and said, God is noun and verb, God of Abraham, Yitzchak, Yishral, let it be known this day that thou art God in Yishral, and that I am thy servant, and that I have done all these things at thy word. Hear me. Hear me, God is noun and verb. Hear me, that this people may know that thou art God is noun and verb, divinity, and that thou hast turned their heart back again. Then the fire of God as a noun and verb fell and consumed the burnt sacrifice and the wood and the stones and the dust, and licked up the water that was in the trench. And when all the people saw it, they fell on their faces, and they said, God is a noun and verb, he is the God. God is a noun and verb, he is the God. And Eliyahu said unto them, Take the prophets of Baal, let not one of them escape. And he took them, and Eliyahu brought them down to the brook Gishon, and slew them there. And Eliyahu said unto Ahab, Get thee up, eat and drink, for there is a sound of abundance of rain. So Ahab went up to eat and to drink. And Eliyahu went up to the top of Carmel, and he cast himself down upon the earth, and put his face between his knees, and said to his servant, Go up now, look toward the sea. And he went up and looked, and said, There is nothing. And he said, Go again 7 times. And it came to pass at the 7th time that he said, Behold, there riseth a little cloud out of the sea, like a man's hand. And he said, Go up, and say unto Ahab, Prepare thy chariot, and get thee down, that the rain stop thee not. And it came to pass, in the meanwhile, that the heaven was black with clouds and wind, and there was a great rain. And Ahab rode, and went to Yazreel. Yezerel, I don't remember exactly how that term goes. And the hand of God as a noun and verb was on Eliyahu, and he girded up his loins, and ran before Ahab to the entrance of Yezreel. And Ahab told Ezbal, lover and unchaste of the Lord. So allegorical meanings there, right? all that Eliyahu had done, and with all how he had slain all the prophets with the sword. Then Ezbal sent a messenger unto Eliyahu, saying, So let the entities do to me, and more also, if I make not thy life as the life of one of them by tomorrow about this time. And when he saw that, he arose and went for his life, and came to Beersheba, which belongeth to Yehuda, and left his servant there. Yehuda as in the tribe. But he himself went a day's journey into the wilderness, and came down and sat under a juniper tree, and he requested for himself that he might die, and said, Is it enough now, O God as a noun and verb, take away my life, for I am not better than my fathers. Well, you should want to be pray to be as alive as long as is good for you. Same thing with others. And as he lay and slept under a juniper tree, behold, then an angel touched him, and said unto him, Arise and eat. And he looked, and behold, there was a cake baked on the coals, and a cruse of water at his head. And he did eat and drink, and laid him down again. And the angel of God as a noun and verb came again the second time, and touched him, and said, Arise and eat, because the journey is too great for thee. And he arose, and did eat and drink, and went in the strength of that meat 40 days and 40 nights unto Horeb, the mount of God. And he came thither unto a cave, and lodged there. And behold, God as a noun and verb passed by, and a great and strong wind rent the mountains, and broke in pieces the rock before God as a noun and verb. But God as a noun and verb was not in the wind, and after the wind an earthquake. But God as a noun and verb was not in the earthquake, and after the earthquake a fire. But God as a noun and verb was not there in the fire, and after the fire a still small voice. And it was so when Eliyahu heard it, and he wrapped his face in the mantle, and went out, and stood in the entering of the cave. And behold, there came a voice unto him, and said, What doest thou here, Eliyahu? And he said, I have been very jealous for God as noun and verb, God of hosts, because the children of Yisrael had forsaken thy covenant, thrown down thine altars, and slain thine prophets. With the sword I, and even I only, am left, and they seek my life to take it away. And God as a noun and verb said unto him, Go return on thy way to the wilderness of Damascus, and when thou comest, anoint Hazael to be king over Syria, and to Jehu the son of Nimshi shalt thou anoint to be king over Yisrael, and Elisha, or I don't remember how that name goes, but the son of Shaphat of Abel Maholah shalt thou anoint to be prophet in thy room. And it shall come to pass that him that escapeth the sword of Hazael shall Jehu slay, and let him that escapeth from the sword of Jehu shall Elisha slay. Yet I have left me 7,000 in Yisrael, all the knees which have not bowed unto Baal, and every mouth which hath not kissed him. Now see, there wasn't anywhere near the number of Israelites that people tend to portray. So he departed thence, and found Elisha the son of Shaphat, who was plowing with 12 yoke of oxen before him, and he with the 12th. And Eliyahu passed by him, and cast his mantle upon him, and he left the oxen, and ran after Eliyahu, and said, Let me, I pray thee, kiss my father and my mother, and then I will follow thee. And he said unto him, Go back again, for what have I done to thee? And he returned back from him, and took a yoke of oxen, and slew him, and boiled their flesh with the instruments of the oxen, and gave unto the people, and they did eat. And he arose and went after Eliyahu, and ministered unto him. And it came to pass after these things that Naboth the Jezreelim had a vineyard which was in Jezreel, hard by the place of Ahab, king of Samaria. And Ahab spoke unto Naboth, saying, Give me thy vineyard, that I may have it for a garden of herbs, because it is near unto my house, and I will give thee for it a better vineyard than it. Or if it seem good to thee, I will give thee the worth of it in money. And Naboth said unto Ahab, God is noun and verb, forbid it me that I should give the inheritance of my fathers unto thee. And Ahab came into his house heavy and displeased because of the word which Naboth the Jezreelim had spoken unto him. For he had said, I will not give thee the inheritance of my fathers. And he laid him down upon his bed and turned away his face and would eat no bread. But Azbal, his wife, came to him and said unto him, Why is thy spirit so sad that thou eatest no bread? And he said unto her, Because I have spoken unto Naboth the Jezreelim, and said unto him, Give me thy vineyard for money, or else, if it please thee, I will give thee another vineyard for it. And he answered, I will not give thee my vineyard. And Azbal his wife said unto him, Dost thou now govern the kingdom of Israel? Arise, and eat bread, and let thine heart be merry. I will give thee the vineyard of Naboth the Jezreelim. So she wrote letters in Ahab's name, and sealed them with his seal, and sent letters unto the elders and to the nobles that were in his city dwelling with Naboth. And she wrote in the letters, saying, Proclaim a fast, and set Naboth on the high among the people, and set 2 men, sons of Belial, before him, to bear witness against him, saying, Thou didst blaspheme God and the king. And then carry him out, and stone him, that he may die. And the men of the city, even the elders and the nobles, who were the inhabitants of the city, did as Azbal said unto them. And it was written in the letters which she had sent unto them. They proclaimed a fast, and set Naboth on high among the people. And there came in 2 men, children of Belial, and sat before him. And the men of Belial witnessed against him, even against Naboth, in the presence of the people, saying, Naboth did blaspheme God and the king. And they carried him forth out of the city, and stoned him with stones, that he died. And they sent to Azbal, saying, Naboth is stoned and dead. And it came to pass, when Azbal heard that Naboth was stoned and was dead, that Azbal said unto Ahab, Arise, take possession of the vineyard of Naboth the Jezreelim, which he refused to give thee for money, for Naboth is not alive, but dead. And it came to pass, when Ahab heard that Naboth was dead, and that Ahab rose to go down to the vineyard of Naboth the Jezreelim, to take possession of it. And the word of God as noun and verb came to Eliahu the Tishbim, saying, Arise and go down to meet Ahab the king of Yisrael, which is in Samaria. Behold, he is in the vineyard of Naboth, whither he is gone down to possess it. And thou shalt speak unto him, saying, Thus saith God as noun and verb, Hast thou killed, and also taken possession? And thou shalt speak unto him, saying, Thus saith God as noun and verb, In the place where the dogs lick the blood of Naboth, shall the dogs lick thy blood, even thine. And Ahab said unto Eliahu, Hast thou found me, O mine enemy? And he answered, I have found thee, because thou hast sold thyself to work evil in the sight of God as noun and verb. Behold, I will bring evil upon thee, and will take away thy posterity, and will cut off from Ahab him that pisseth against the wall. Because that's going to make a mess of yourself, right? And him that is shut up and left in Yisrael, and will make thine house like the house of Jeroboam the son of Nebat, and like the house of Baasha the son of Ahiah. For the provocation wherewith thou hast provoked me to anger, and made Yashral to sin. And of Azbal also spoketh God as a noun and verb, saying, the dogs shall eat Azbal by the wall of Jezreel. Him that dieth of Ahab in the city, the dogs shall eat, and him that dieth in the field shall the fowls of the air eat. Now, can't help but think that the whole Ahab and Jezebel thing relates to sex magic. And it came to pass, when Ahab heard those words, that he rent his clothes and put sackcloth upon his flesh, and fasted, and lay in sackcloth, and went softly. And the word of God as noun and verb came to Eliyahu the Tishbim, saying, seest thou how Ahab humbleth himself before me? Because he humbleth himself before me, I will not bring the evil in his days, but in his son's days will I bring the evil upon his house. Well, negativity, perhaps, or perhaps not holding back other evil people, but the wording makes it sound like God's doing evil, doesn't it?